Hello everyone, welcome back to the new episode of my tutorial series on software development. In the previous episode, we have successfully added a functionality to increase or decrease product quantity based on purchase or sales. In this episode, we will add a functionality to display all the transactions and also filter the transaction based on purchase or sales. So without further delay, let's move to our tutorial. So first of all, I'll go to my project folder, which is AnyStore, and open my project solution, which is anystore.solution for me. So this is it. Now let's go to the Solution Explorer and let's go to our admin dashboard. So go to the UI folder and expand it, and go to the form FRM admin dashboard. So here we do not have a menu for transactions, so I will just click on here and add a transaction menu, TRANSACTION transaction. So this is it, and we also need to create a form for transaction. So I'll go to Solution Explorer, and inside the UI, right click on UI and click on add and click on new item and select Windows Form here and give the name here. It will be FRM transactions and click on add or press enter. So this will be our form, so I'll make it little bigger, so this will be okay. So let's expand it. This will be okay. Now let's select the form and go to properties, and its name is okay, form transaction, and let's change its text to transaction, and let's change the start position from Windows default location to center screen. Now we need to change it form border style, so go to form border style and change from sizable to none. Now we need to change this back color also, so I'll just select back color and select this icon and search for scroll bar. Here it is, so it will be little grayish. So that's it. Now we need to add a header, label and picture box. For that I will copy from another form, so we have created earlier. So I'll go to Solution Explorer and I'll just open from categories, and I will copy the header from categories form. So just drag over the search and select these three. So I have selected this header background, this label and this picture box. So I'll just press Ctrl and C to copy and go to my transaction form, and here I'll just press Ctrl and V to paste. So that's it. Now let's change its name. So just select the label, go to properties, and on text properties change from categories to transactions. So that's it. Now we need to add a data grid view to display all the transactions and a combo box to filter by search. So I'll just go to toolbox and search for data grid view. Data grid view, just drag and drop data grid view. I will take it down here and just make it bigger, so just drag. I think this will be okay. Now let's change the properties of data grid view. Just select the data grid view, click on properties, and from name it will be DGV transactions. Now we also need to filter by purchase or sales. So let's go to toolbox and add a label first. So label, I'll just drag and drop label here. Let's go to select the label, go to properties, and its name will be LBL transaction type, and its font will be, just select the icon here and it will be Sego UI. Select the Sego UI and its font size will be 10. Click on OK, and let's change its text. So its text will be transaction type. So that's it. Now we need to add a combo box in right side of this label. So go to toolbox and search for combo box. So I'll just drag and drop combo box here and make it bigger. Now let's change the properties of this combo box. Go to properties and first we'll change name. It will be CMB transaction type, and let's make its font size, let's change it. Go to this icon and search for Sego UI, we will use Sego UI, and size will be 10. Okay, so that's it. Now we will add the data in our combo box manually, so I'll just click on this triangle icon and click on edit items. Here we will type PURCHASE purchase and enter, and another will be sales, so click on OK. So that's it. Now we will also add a button to display all the products or all the transactions. Sorry, so I'll go to toolbox and search for button. I'll just drag and drop button here and make it little bigger. Okay, that's okay for me, I guess. Okay, that's it. And let's select the button and go to properties, and we'll change the name from button 1 to BTN all. So font will be Sego UI and size will be 10. Click on OK, and let's change its text from button 1 to show all. So that's it, guys. We have successfully added a combo box and button. So we will filter based on combo box only. So let's press Ctrl and S to save. Now first step is to create a close function. So I'll just double click on this picture box. So double click on picture box, and here we'll write this dot hide. So this code will work when we click on this picture box. This code will help to hide or close this form, and press Ctrl and S to save. Now we need to link this form with admin dashboard. So go to admin dashboard, and on transaction menu we created at first, just double click on this transaction, and here we will link the transaction form. FRM transaction 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 is equals to new form transaction. So that's it. Now we will display the form. So transaction dot show, that's it. Let's press Ctrl and S to save. Let's click on start to check whether the form is opened or not when we click on transaction menu. So I'll log in with admin credential, which is admin, username is admin, password is admin, and user type is admin. So login successful. I'll click on transaction menu. So our form is displayed successfully. Now I'll click on this close icon. So this form should be closed, so I'll just click on this. So our form is closed successfully. So we have added a functionality to open and close the transaction form. Let's close this and close this and close this. Now we need to create methods to display all the transaction in our data grid view, and also display the transaction based on transaction type. So we need to create two methods. So let's go to Solution Explorer and minimize the UI folder. Let's go to DAL, and in transaction DAL just double click on transaction DAL, and here we will create a method to display transaction. So first method is to display all the transactions. So has region, I'll give its name, method to display all the transaction, and has in region, and inside this region we will create a method of data table data type. So public data table display all transactions, and we do not pass anything here, and parenthesis open. First step is to create SQL connection. So SQL connection first. So SQL connection con is equals to new SQL connection. We'll pass my connection string, and then we will create a data table to hold the data for temporarily. Create a data table to hold the data from database temporarily. So data table dt is equals to new data table, and we will return the data table. So return dt. So we solve the error also. So after the data table we need to start the actual code to display all the transactions. So I'll start with try block. So try, and then we will write catch here exception ex, and we will display the message if we have any exceptional errors. So message box dot show ex dot message, that's it. Now we need to add finally block. Here we will close the database connection, so connection dot close, that's it. Now inside the try block we will write the SQL query first. So write the SQL query to display all transactions. So string SQL is equals to select asterisk from tbl underscore transactions. Now we need to create a SQL command to execute query. So SQL command cmd is equals to new and then SQL and database connection, and again we need to create a SQL data adapter to hold the database data from database. So SQL data adapter adapter is equals to new SQL data adapter using cmd. Now we need to open the database connection here. So connection dot open, and then we need to pass the data from SQL data adapter to data table. So adapter dot fill and then dt. So that's it guys, we have successfully created a method to display all the transactions from database into the data grid view. Similarly we need to create another method to display the transaction based on transaction type. So I'll start another region, hash region. So method to display transaction based on transaction type. So this is not v, it's b. So I'll in the region hash in region, and inside this region we'll write a method which will be of data table data type. So public data table display transaction by type, and we need to pass string variable which is type. Now first step is to create a SQL connection. So SQL connection con is equals to new SQL connection, and we'll pass my connection string we created in previous video, and then we need to create a data table. So data table dt is equals to new data table, and we need to return dt. So after the creating data table we need to write the actual code to display transactions by transaction type. For that I'll start with try block. So try and then catch here exception ex. So in catch block we will display the message if we have any exceptional errors. So message box dot show ex dot message, and then finally in final block we'll close the database connection. So connection dot close. Now we'll write the SQL query to display transaction based on transaction type in try block. So write SQL query string SQL is equals to select asterisk from tbl underscore transactions where where type is equals to, let's go to Solver Explorer and let's expand database, let's expand tables, let's expand transactions, tbl transactions. So we have type, so where type is equals to single quote, and inside the single quote double quote, and inside the double quote we need to write plus 2 times, and here we'll pass type. So that's it. This is the query to display transactions based on transaction type. Now we need to create SQL command to execute the query. So SQL command cmd is equals to new, and then SQL command will pass SQL and database connection, and then we need to create a SQL data adapter to hold the data from database. So SQL data adapter is equals to new SQL data adapter, and we'll pass command SQL command. So that's it. Now we need to open the database connection. So connection dot open, and then we need to pass from data from SQL data adapter to data table. So adapter dot fill dt. So that's it. So this is, guys, we have successfully created a method to display the transaction based on transaction type. Let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S, and I will minimize it. Now let's go to the transaction design, transaction UI, and here we need to display the transactions, all the transactions when the form is loaded. So I'll just click on empty space, and I will just double click on empty space to create a form load event. So just double click on empty space. So here we will add a functionality to display all the transactions. So display all the transactions. So for that we need to create an object of transaction DAL. So transaction 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 DAL TDAL is equals to new transaction DAL. Don't worry about the error, just hover over the error, click on show potential fixes using anystore.dal. So here we will use transaction DAL to display all the transactions. So data table dt is equals to tdal dot get or display all the transactions. So that's it. Now we need to pass the value to data grid view dot data source is equals to dt. So that's it. So this code will display all the transaction based when the form is load, not based on transaction type, but when the form is load. Just save it by pressing Ctrl and S. Now we need to add functionality to show the transaction based on transaction type. So I'll just select the combo box and go to properties, and here click on thunder icon and double click on selected index changed. I'll just double click on it, and here first step is to get the value from combo box. So string type is equal to txt, not txt, cmb type is equals to cmb transaction type dot text. So that's it. Now based on this type we will display the transaction. So data table dt is equals to tdal dot display transactions by type, and we'll pass type. That's it. Now here we will pass this value to data grid view. So dgb transactions dot data source is equals to dt. So that's it, guys. This is the code to display the transaction based on transaction type. Now let's go to the transactions form design, and in this button, when we click on this button, I want to display all the transactions here. So just select the button and double click on it to create a button click event. So I'll just double click on show all button. So here is the button click event. So for that I want to copy the code from form load event. So just copy the code from form load event, copy, Ctrl and C to copy, and paste it in button all click event, Ctrl V to paste. That's it. Let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S. Now let's check it out if this functionality works or not. So I'll just click on start, and let's log in with admin username and password. Admin and user type is admin. Let's log in. login successful. Go to transaction. So we have all the transaction. Let's check out if our transaction based on transaction type works or not. So I'll just click on drop down menu. I'll click purchase. So all the transaction by purchase is shown, and I will select sales. So all the transaction by transaction type sales is shown. So this is it, guys. Now I'll click on show all button. When I click on show all button, all the transactions should be displayed. So I'll click on show all button. So all the transaction is displaying successfully. So this is it, guys. We have successfully added the functionality to display all the transaction in our form, and also filter the transaction by transaction type. And in the next episode, I will add a functionality to display transaction that is all the products and its quantity in inventory, and also filter based on the category. So thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you have any confusion related to this video, then don't forget to comment. I'll reply as soon as possible. So till then, see you soon. Bye bye.